What is up, erudites? It's me, Kim, your midterms tutor for General Biology 1. For this session, we'll be tackling the cell theory and the hierarchy of life, particularly on how the three principles of the cell theory came to be, as well as the structural arrangement of living things. Let's get started. First, we have the hierarchy of life. So, what is the hierarchy of life? The hierarchy of life, this is also known as the level of biological organization. It describes the structural arrangement of living things from the smallest, most fundamental units to the largest, most complex systems. This basically arranges that we all come from, as you can see in the image, we all come from cells and then it progresses from tissues, organs, and so on. For the first part of the hierarchy of life, we have the atom. The atom, it is the basic unit of matter and forms molecules when combined. Examples of atom include carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Second, we have the molecule. The molecule is composed of two or more atoms and provides the building blocks for organelles. Examples of molecules include water, carbon dioxide, and oxygen gas. As you can see in the image, the water molecule or H2O is primarily composed of two elements, which are the hydrogen and the oxygen. Next, we have the organelle. The organelle, these are the little organs within a cell that carry out specific functions. Examples include mitochondria, nucleus, and Golgi apparatus. These are basically the organs that can be found in the cell. Next, we have the cell. The cell is the basic unit of all living things. It can either be unicellular or multicellular. Examples of the cell can be prokaryotic cells, eukaryotic cells, animal cells, and plant cells. Next, we have the tissue. The tissue, these are a group of similar cells working together to perform a specific function. Examples of tissue include epithelial tissue, muscle tissue, and blood. There are more examples shown in the image. Next is the organ. The organ, it is a structure composed of different types of tissues that work together to perform a common function. Examples of organs include the skin, the largest organ, the heart, and the brain. In the image, we're showing you a picture of the stomach organ. The organ system. The organ system is a group of organs that work together to perform a major body function. Examples include the digestive system, the skeletal system, and the circulatory system. There are more systems out there that are very useful. Next is the organism. The organism is a single, complete living thing made up of one or more organ systems with an organized structure to perform complex functions. Examples include humans, animals, and plants. After organism, we have the population. The population is a group of organisms of the same species living in the same area. Examples are all the humans living in a city, a flock of birds in the sky, and a herd of deer in a forest. After population, we have the community. The community is all the different populations of different species living and interacting in a specific area. Examples is a coral reef where different species of fish, coral, and algae coexist and interact. Second to the last, we have the ecosystem. The ecosystem is a community of living organisms along with the non-living factors or the abiotic factors. An example of this would be a forest ecosystem with different animals interacting with sunlight, soil, and water, which are non living factors. For the highest level of the biological organization, we have the biosphere. The biosphere comprises all the parts of the earth where life exists. The only example that I can give you of a biosphere is Earth itself. Now, let's dive into the scientists who helped pave the way for the cell theory. First, we have Robert Hooke. He was the first who coined the term cells in his best-selling book Micrographia. He based the term cells on the cells of a monastery after observing the honeycomb-like structure of the thin slice of cork. Second, we have Antony van Leeuwenhoek, a Dutch scientist who is widely regarded as the father of microbiology. He is also the first person to provide a written account of bacteria. He called these bacteria as little animals or animalcules when he examined an old soup, the gunk on the teeth, and his own semen. The word animalcules or his term animalcules actually came from two words which are animal and minuscule, meaning small. Third, we have Matthias Jakob Schleiden. He proposed that all plants are made of cells, and the cell is the basic structural unit of plants. He also incorrectly believed that cells were formed from a crystallization rather than a cell division. Next, we have Theodore Schwann. He concluded that all animal tissues were also made of cells, proposed that the cell is the fundamental unit of both plant and animal life. Now, you may be wondering, what is the difference between Theodor Schwann and Matthias Jakob Schleiden? Matthias Jakob Schleiden focused more on the plant cells, while Theodor Schwann focused more on the animal cells. Last, we have Rudolf Virchow. He is a Polish scientist who concluded that cells must arise from pre-existing cells. He is also considered the father of modern pathology. He popularized the Latin phrase omnis cellula is cellula, which translates to in English, all cells come from cells. Now, let's dive into the three principles of the cell theory, which are based from the works of Schwann, Schleiden, and Virchow. First, we have all organisms are made up of cells. This principle establishes that the cell is the universal building block of life. Whether an organism is a single celled bacterium or a complex multicellular human, its basic structure is cellular. Second, the cell is the basic structural and functional unit of life. This means that cells are the smallest entities that can perform all the processes necessary for life, such as metabolism, growth, and reproduction. The overall function of a multicellular organism is the sum of the activities of its individual cells. Third and last but not the least, we have all cells arise from pre existing cells. This principle, often summarized by the Latin phrase omnis cellula is cellula, means that cells do not spontaneously generate from non living matter. Instead, new cells are produced through the division of existing cells. This concept is central to understanding growth, reproduction, and tissue repair in all living things. Next, we have the four modern interpretations of the cell theory. Number one, energy flows within cells. This principle states that all cellular activities are powered by a constant flow of energy, usually in the form of ATP, which is created through processes like cellular respiration. Second, cells contain genetic material that can be passed on. This concept recognizes that cells store genetic information in DNA, which is accurately copied and passed from a parent cell to its daughter cells during cell division. Third, the activity of an organism depends on the activity of each individual independent cell. This principle highlights that a multicellular organism's health and function are a direct result of the collective coordinated activities of its specialized cells. Fourth, and last, the genetic makeup of the cells of organisms that belong to the same species is the same. While minor variations exist, the overall genetic blueprint for all cells of a single species is fundamentally the same, dictating the basic characteristics and functions of that species. And that ends our discussion on cell theory and hierarchy of life. Why is this important, you may ask? Well, learning about cell theory and the hierarchy of life is essential because they provide the foundational framework for understanding all biological systems. These concepts explain what living things are made of and how they're organized, which is crucial for almost every field of science, especially medicine and research. Anyway, thank you for listening. See you next time, erudites.